And welcome back to the 16th episode of the Oh You Didn't Know Wrestling Show. I am John Fisher, the 16th shortest NXT wrestler in the world, alongside Brad Shepard, who wears number 16 in his NXT Super Bowl jersey, just in case. How are you?
I'm tired. I've watched
I'm
about
tired too.
9 hours of WWE TV in the span of 3 days this week. I'm beat. I don't know about you.
Why'd you watch the pre-show?
I'm asking myself that now, actually.
That's something I got to ignore. I was at work. I had a really good excuse. It was a really good excuse.
Well, yeah. I mean, and while you were at work, now, John, we covered this on Twitter, but for our audience that
Wait, no, we gotta plug everything first. We can't do
Okay.
it. We can't jump into it just yet. We can't. John Fisher TV on Twitter. For Brad is the Brad Shepard, and you can get all of our stuff at wherever you can find a podcast for the most part. Spotify won't return my calls. It's like my real life. No, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, the important ones. The important ones. Don't ignore the whole Spotify thing. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, we talk about it. It was a perfect transition that you ruined, by the way.
Sorry.
But we talk about that, and we talk about you being at work, and we covered it on Twitter. Not everybody probably saw it, so the mystery of John's desk was revealed. Now, I had a source inside the newsroom that actually sent me pictures, exclusive pictures, by the way. Very important to note they're exclusive, and it shows John Fisher in one image. He's at a desk, and then the other image, he's at a different section of the desk. So clearly his desk has moved, meaning he doesn't have a permanent desk, whereas Dean Iampietro, according to the exclusive pics I received, has a desk and a nameplate. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
What time of day? I have a few follow-up questions, if that's okay. I am a journalist after all, a real one, not like a few wrestling media members claim to be. Number one, what time of day were those exclusive photos sent to you? I don't even know who they were from, but what time of day were they at?
In the evening.
They were in like around what time?
At nighttime. I can't get into. See, here's the thing, John, about sources, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not asking for a
Sometimes
name.
you have to pull back. You can't give all of the information you have because it could eliminate certain people or point towards a certain person within the company, and you don't want them to get in trouble, obviously. So
names.
I don't want Dean to get fired, so I can't tell you it was him. But someone definitely sent those to me, and it was very revealing.
It was around nighttime, right?
Yeah.
So, like we talked about last week, what happens around the nighttime hours? What happens to Dean around nighttime? We went over this last week.
Well, I would presume he goes to bed very early, about 7 o'clock.
He does, but you're missing a really key detail that took place. What does he do before he goes to bed? It's usually right around the time he records his elbow and sends it over to us. There's a one little detail. It's after the TGI Fridays meet up with the OGs and the elbow recording. What does he do?
What does he do? Well, you're the Dean expert. Why don't you remind us what Dean does?
Well, he takes his medicine, of course.
He takes his medicine.
So if I'm adding up things properly, like a good journalist does, I'm not guessing. I think what happened was in the midst of the photos being captured. Photoshop's a hell of a drug. Let me get started there.
You're right. That's true.
Photoshop is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, like that time you photoshopped your wang,
Yeah. It was very telling, and Jimmy and Yang decided to join the party.
Yeah, she probably did think for at least a couple months that it was 2 foot long, but I'm sure the big reveal in person was a little disappointing. But yeah, Photoshop is a hell of a drug.
You're right, disappointing. Yeah. I called it barren, and it makes sense. So we're talking about that time of day where again, Dean's iron deficient, so he needs his medicine every single day. For those of you who love Bruce Pritchard's podcast, like kind of the same thing. Bruce, take your pills. Well, Dean, take your pills. And I'm assuming Dean is the one that shot them, but I'm not going to give away a name because I actually don't know who took the pictures. This is only an educated guess here. That at the time that those photos were taken, and here's what Dean did not tell you if it were him. Hypothetical scenario I'm painting for everyone at home.
Yeah,
Always hypothetical.
Yeah. Of course.
That he doesn't realize that the pole that I have is astronomical.
Whoa.
Astronomical. How does Dean not know?
Well, that's a good question.
How does Dean? Well, but how does Dean not know that I let people sit there? I don't have to let people sit there. I create jobs. Okay.
Whoa! You're a capitalist. You're a job creator.
I simply allow others to use my workspace. A, for teamwork. B, for team building, because that's very important in today's day and age. Media gets a harsh criticism, and what better way to communicate than with people right next to you? Having to yell across the newsroom is very tiresome. And honestly, some details can get misconstrued along the way, like the game Telephone we all played when we were kids in kindergarten class. Dean, the facts that you were given by, Day, Petra I am Day, right?
Yeah.
Simply not true. It's called he melts you.
Oh, gee.
Whoever it was.
He melts or bombed me.
He melts or bombed you. And the reason I say that, because yes, I was letting other people sit at my space. And to do that, I leave at 5:30 or 6:30 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the captain's chair, my chair, that has to be the focal point for the main assignment editor who's working the shift for a majority of the day. I sit there all day. And then when the night side guy comes in, let's call him Ben. When Ben gets in at around 3 to 3:30, I am going to give up my seat to give to him. So he is at the captain's chair while I am not there. He's simply keeping my seat warm until I'm there the next day. And then I shift over as an essence to transition myself out of a leadership role near the end of my shift to communicate better and then to get the heck out. Because we don't need to be at work that long. It just makes you mad.
So it sounds like you're the captain of the ship.
Oh, just call me Alicia Fox.
Yeah. So do you make your employees call you captain?
I don't mean to call them servants. No, I'm just kidding.
You run a tight ship, it sounds like.
Tight is my middle name. No, the whole reason.
Oh boy, that's just too easy.
Think of it this way. Think of it like when Baron Corbin stands towering over everyone in the NXT locker room, looking at himself as the leader of a troop, but he isn't everyone's a leader. But he is the one that everyone looks up to. A, because they have to, and B, because of just the domineering presence that he just exudes naturally without even having to say anything. That's kind of me in this role.
Wow. So, is it fair to say, based on this, that you may have to have a critical conversation with Dean because Dean is your employee?
There are already talks.
Wow.
Dean might be getting buried.
Oh, God.
Who knows?
You're gonna cancel Dean?
No, ironclad contract and all. I'm working on that, but I suggest Dean should know his role, find a nameplate for the fake belt that he won in doing fake fantasy sports.
Shine it up real nice. Go on.
Yes.
Continue.
And take your pills. Okay. Know your role and take your pills. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping you'd say something else.
What did you want me to say?
No, I just wanted you to say, stick it straight up your candy ass.
Well, he can't have candy.
That's right. You're right. He can't have candy. That's a good point.
It's
Dean, it's the diabetes.
Dean was around when candy was invented. So, as it were.
Oh gosh.
He didn't know what to call it. He actually gave, Dean would go into the front row at WWF, the live show circuit, and to make their stop in Pittsburgh, it's did Studio Wrestling, and would throw Tootsie Rolls at Buddy Rogers.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right. My whole plan was to get you in a decent mood so you didn't shit on everything. So I did my job. Let's talk about everything else. There was 9 hours of WWE television since Sunday. 9 hours. Was there at any point you wanted to not watch 9 hours of World Wrestling Entertainment Television?
Probably the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, and I won't defend them for that. And it's totally odd because you have Vince, who said that 90 minutes is just the perfect amount for a wrestling show. We've gone way past that. However, you know what the good part was? Elimination Chamber was over at 10:15.
Yeah, it was very reasonable. I'm not going to complain about that particular part at all. I mean, geez, that was fantastic. That was the best part about the entire show, probably.
I loved it. It was 3 hours. That is a good pay-per-view time.
Yeah, I'll admit. Definitely.
And just boggles my mind. So, the Elimination Chamber came and went. I think the big talk that came out of it was easily Kofi Kingston and the story they were able to tell there. And not more so for you, but for a lot of other people, the Becky Lynch attack, stiff, I might add, on Charlotte and Ronda was another big talking point. And outside of that, it was just another show, right?
Yeah. It was okay. So it was better than Raw. It was better than a Raw, but not like a lot better than a Raw. I mean, I'm not a fan of the gimmick pay-per-views just to have them annually anyway, right? I like them. I like them in the context of a story when there's a need for a match like that to settle a big feud. But but it was what it was. I mean, I thought the women's tag team match was not very good.
There were a few good moments, but only a couple to me.
I thought it was sloppy. But the right team won. Coming out of it, the right team won. And I liked how they protected Tamina and Nia. I think they're the team that should be going for the belts, in my opinion. So
I think they will. That Nia spot was like she went all out, man.
Yeah, it's like, she went all out. It was like she picked up centrifugal force and nothing was stopping her. I mean, get the hell out of her way. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like she was, running for a snack or something inside the chamber.
God, that's just so mean. I don't know.
But she was like hell bent, and it was like boom. That was brutal. So nicely done.
I'm being serious. I thought it was a really nice spot, and I think she did it really well.
But yeah, absolutely. And the crowd enjoyed her team being eliminated. So job well done.
Yeah, exactly. But no, there was a few sloppy moments in that match. Each week, Mandy Rose is getting more heat. It's kind of. I'm not surprised by that either. I'm more surprised at how quickly she was able to. I mean, she's not a perfect in-ring performer, but she's not even close. But she's getting a lot better as the weeks go on.
Well, she's an improvement over. Oh, jeez. What was Naomi's little cheerleader buddy's name?
Carmella?
Naomi and... Oh, jeez. What was her name with the Funkadactyls?
Oh, Cameron.
Cameron. Talk about forgettable. She knows how to pin people. So, like, Mandy's better than her already. Yeah. So, I wouldn't, it's not a high bar, but She knows how to pin people. So she's, above that.
Mandy will be a SmackDown Women's Champion before the end of the year.
Yeah, I still want Eva Marie to come back.
I don't.
I do.
Well, did she win Big Brother? Is that over?
She did not win. She did pretty good, but she didn't win.
How far did she get?
Not in the beginning, but not at the very end either. A little more towards the end of the middle.
I figured she would have won all the athletic challenges. She's probably the only athlete there.
No, it had Lolo, Ryan Lochte. It had some legitimate Olympic athletes. Yeah.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure if someone needed their top to come off, Eva would have been immediately.
You're damn right. You're damn right. She's there to save the day. And also, if they need an extremely slow sliced bread number 2.
Oh, yeah.
She's there.
Extremely slow. Now, let's stick with the women here. Becky and Charlotte and Ronda. First of all, I know you're not the biggest fan of Ruby Riott. I love her work. I liked her work in the Indies, and I like it now.
Look,
they could. I know it was storyline based. I get it, but they kind of did the right thing the next night. But really, in 15 seconds, I mean, give the damn girl some offense, because when Ronda's gone, they're going to need people to keep up the momentum that they have. I just thought it was ill-timed.
No, I mean, I blame Ruby Riott. I mean, clearly, if she listened to this podcast and I told her exactly what to do, like, I gave her the blueprint to win the women's championship. I gave her the blueprint. All she had to do was go to the top rope, descend down with the beak strike onto Ronda Rousey, and she would have pinned. I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm at least like 92.23% sure that she would have pinned her after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I kind of have to blame her in that regard because, she didn't do what I suggested. So,
yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, the women, what did they do that you liked, disliked? The crowd was hot for it. Very hot for it.
I don't know what you're talking about. The crowd was hot for women. What are you talking about?
Well, Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda. The crowd loved this segment. Loved it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, you're not an idiot, so I know you're playing dumb. Well, if I have to make you relive it, which I would love to, the fact that Charlotte was at ringside watching the match, and Becky came from the crowd and beat the living hell out of both of them with her cane.
Oh, so you're talking about when, well, I was going to say Becky Lynch, but not Becky Lynch, Bocce Lynch, a blast from the past. She came out. Security couldn't stop the hobbling goblin. She comes out, and then she proceeds to just absolutely recklessly hit Ronda Rousey and Charlotte with strikes, aggressive strikes with the crutch.
Fantastic.
Ronda was bleeding. She's the big money player in the women's division. You can't do that to her.
Oh, you can.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Oh, yeah, she can, and she did. It was terrific.
Yeah, she should have been suspended even longer.
See, now they're getting you to work yourself into a shoot.
Well, look, I'm just saying, how can someone who's 5 foot, how tall? 5'6", 5'5"?
She's a little shorter than I am, yeah.
Okay. And how much do you think she weighs? 100 and nothing? And she's hobbling on down at about 1 mile an hour, climbs over the barricade, gets into the ring. I mean, and nobody tries to stop her, coincidentally. What do this?
What you're thinking of this like real? You're thinking like it's real. It's not real.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean, she hit her with the crutch so hard, so recklessly. I thought it had to be real.
Oh, well, that was real. Oh, yeah. Charlotte's whole arm is bruised down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bullshit. She's Bocce Lynch. She's Bocce Lynch. She's reckless in the ring. And that's what you've got now. You've got a Seth Rollins and a Becky Lynch in the two big matches of WrestleMania, and they both have a likeness for injuring other superstars.
All right, they're no Sheamus. No one's as reckless as that goof. But hey, the crowd was hot for it, and Charlotte has some battle scars to show. It makes it a little bit more intriguing to me.
Yeah, yeah.
What, you don't like blood? You don't like bruises? You don't like aggression, ruthless aggression?
No, it's just whatever. It's just kind of ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
all. She comes out and maybe security was scared of her. That's what it is.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Now let's get to something good at least, which you even praised yourself. Kofi Kingston in the main event of the Chamber put on another really good show. Shows what 11 years can do and how easy it is to tell a story in the ring just by allowing it to be so organic. Had the crowd on their feet for a lot of the match, and the right man won in the end. But damn, that is some organic babyface love for Kofi, the Jamaican sensation Kingston. Unbelievable. I didn't see it coming. Not even close.
Well, my friend, then you haven't been paying attention.
Do tell.
Well, first of all, the men's chamber match I thought was the match of the night.
It was.
It was, yeah. It was a good match. But it was a great story with Kofi Kingston, as you alluded to. And it was a similar story to when Santino Marella was put into the Elimination Chamber match at last minute in 2012. And to the crowd's delight, made it to the end before losing to, coincidentally, then World Heavyweight Champion Daniel Bryan.
Oh, wow. I didn't really know that.
This was essentially a repeat of that story. And so, it was very nicely done, I thought. And there's a lot of criticism online, like, Kofi should have won and blah, blah, blah.
Not yet.
I mean, if they have a long-term direction with Daniel Bryan, then Kofi shouldn't have just won because of a one-night reaction. But, if they don't, then it's totally fine. But, I thought the momentum was nice. It gave Kofi a push. And then I thought the key really would be how they're going to go forward with Kofi and his momentum after the night.
Well, we absolutely saw that on SmackDown, as it were. There was a 6-man tag between the Chamber participants. Shocker. Kofi comes out on top and pins Daniel. The crowd went crazy in New Orleans for Kofi Kingston. So clearly there are long-term plans, and I agree with you. Daniel should have won if they have a plan in place, and I think that they do. Now, the question becomes, despite what rumors are swirling around today of Daniel's WrestleMania opponent, does Daniel take the cake at Fastlane in Cleveland in a few weeks, or are we looking at a WrestleMania match?
Yeah, I think, it's still early, obviously, but yeah, I think Daniel wins.
Okay. I think they have to do it. I think they have. Kofi has. He's never. By the way, this is going to be his first one-on-one match for a major title ever after 11 years. Man, talk about persistence.
Look,
go ahead.
No, you're right. I mean, if it was my decision, I would have Kofi win it at Fastlane.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think there's such a big match with Daniel Bryan right now that they couldn't pull the trigger on Kofi and see what happens at Fastlane. So that's what I would do. I'd personally have him win the title and see what happens.
Now,
and worst comes to worst, he loses at WrestleMania and they move on. But, Bryan doesn't need the title.
No, he doesn't. He's doing good work on his own. But that does beg the question, and I've talked to a few people about this, about, do they split up the New Day? Do they not? Especially if Kofi's going to get a world title run. I mean, they can only, someone can only support someone so far until jealousy kicks in. Do we see a New Day turn at any point? Because it seems like right now there is not going to be, which makes me think that he won't actually win.
Yeah, I don't know that you need to break them up. I mean, Obviously, if you're going to do a long-term singles push with Kofi, you probably need to. But let's just have a faction where we can amicably go our ways without stabbing each other in the back like the Shield. How about everybody's just friends and they say, you know what? It's time to move on to our singles careers, and we support you and we love you, and go get him, Tiger. And we don't have to stab each other in the back. You don't always have to have that.
Well, how did Evolution break up?
Well, that's exactly. I mean, they attacked within, and that's exactly what WWE has a history of doing. But you don't always have to do it that way. Sometimes you can just say, you know what, we're going to go our own ways, and that's okay. And we still support each other and have your backs. But it's almost kind of too predictable, I guess, is the reasoning. That's what they always do. They always have each other attack each other. Let's just, it doesn't always have to be that. That's all I'm saying.
No, it really doesn't. I'm kind of for that. I would have to, if I were Vince, I would have to be nervous about merchandise sales. The New Day has been in the top position for merch for years, since they got hot, and that would all vanish if they were to dissipate. I would be nervous. I wouldn't want to. I would like to have a backup plan if it were me.
Well, they're not in the top position, but they've done well overall over the years. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
So they would have to supplement that merch money somehow.
Yeah.
Whether that's, Xavier is very good on the mic. He can do some things. Big E is a powerhouse. He can handle his own. And Kofi's Kofi. Maybe that, we'll see.
I like the potential out of Big E. I mean,
yeah, I do too.
Sure, it'd be nice if he was a couple inches taller, but at the end of the day, he's legit. He's extremely strong. Good look, very charismatic, can talk. I'd like to see him turn on a little more seriousness and see what he could do in a singles role.
What about Xavier Woods to you? I think he's the best on the mic out of all of them. And he has a gimmick waiting for him. He has a doctorate. He's very intelligent. So he's creative. I'd like to see what he can do too.
Yeah, I think he's the one I worry about the most as far as singles. I think he goes by the wayside. He would be great in a commentary role. He'd be great in a manager role. I just don't see him doing a lot outside of the mid card in a singles role.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll definitely see how it goes for them. Hopefully, I'd like to know sooner rather than later. But the big theme this week on Raw, a few things took place. Brad's 4 favorite wrestlers debuted on the main roster, and I as I see it, my source tells me that 4 extra large T-shirts are already en route to his home. All 4 of them autographed, so he's not going to wear them. Geez, he's not an XL. What is he? Tiny, and they're going to be hanging up in his home above his bed, preferably with candles underneath. And I've heard from a good word that his Baron Corbin shrine is going by the wayside. Instead, it's going to be full of 5-star match documentaries, and he's going to shrink a whole 1.5 feet.
I would have to shrink a foot to be Johnny Gargano's height. That's actually true. A literal foot. That's true.
And not only that, I heard that you already signed up. You quit your day job. You already signed up to be a ringside worker for your local indie company.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, ringside worker / ring rat. Like I'm ready to give my body to the industry. I'm all in. Double or nothing.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. You're a star. Let it cast upon you. However, before we let Brad's head explode, we'll talk about some good news. And is that the Hall of Fame announced their first inductee, and mainly reported by Brad months before, not ESPN. The Generation X is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the first entrant this year, and that includes the original 5. Is it 5? Yeah, Shawn, Trips, yeah. Okay,
New Age
Sean Trips,
Outlaws,
New Age Outlaws, and China.
and yeah, and Sean Waltman.
Oh, and X-Pac.
Yeah,
That's sorry. X-Pac Heat still reigns true.
yeah.
So before we get into it, Dean requested that he go before us. Um, I can only imagine.
What a glorious week of elbow drops it was on John Fisher. Proving on social media with visual evidence. Brad, you now know who is speaking the truth. And yeah, I'm on tape and Brad gets the last word or John gets the last word because he's there live with you. But the fact of the matter is, Brad, who are you going to believe? The person who just keeps talking, or the one who's shown you actual evidence of the situation at hand? That's what I thought. Now to this week's elbow, once again, a giant take the pad off my elbow onto WWE. I was no fan of China, okay? Did not care for the character, didn't like it, wasn't interested in it back in the heyday of the Attitude Era. But, much like Hulk Hogan, who was another character who I never cared for, didn't like, I recognized Hulk Hogan's place in the wrestling business. I recognize China's place in the wrestling business and the things that she accomplished and was allowed to accomplish and what her place is. And her place is in the WWE Hall of Fame. And what they've done, putting her in with the group of DX, is totally minimized her accomplishments and her entry into the Hall of Fame. Her entry into the Hall of Fame should be hers, China, being inducted. I'm not saying DX shouldn't be inducted. Somewhere down the line they should be. But great, another chance to stroke Shawn Michaels and Triple H's egos. Fantastic. By the way, where's Rick Rude in that group that you're inducting? But you're just going to include China in a group to get her into the Hall of Fame? It minimizes what she accomplished. What she accomplished was far beyond the group of Degeneration X. And the WWE is once again doing a disservice to a longtime legend. And actually, it's kind of hurting the look of its evolution. The elbow's been dropped, guys. What do you think?
Well, I think take your pills. No. Here is so I didn't get to watch China at all personally live. I know you did, so I'll let you get to that one. But I don't want my kids searching China and seeing what the search results show up as.
Well, I guess you better not have Sean Waltman in the Hall of Fame either.
That is very
he
true.
was on the other end of One Night in China. He was the one in China. So, I mean, well, look, we could go down a million different people. Sonny,
Yep.
WWE Hall of Famer, doing Skype nude shows for fans.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan's 10-inch penis, but
yep,
that's not Terry Bollea's. That's just Hulk Hogan's. So there's a lot of things. So that's just a bullshit excuse. It's all about Stephanie and Triple H. But here's my thing. I think Dean has got this wrong. I do. Now, he makes a good point about putting them in the Hall of Fame and Triple H and making it about him. And I'm going to actually get to that later. But as far as China, this should be looked at as one thing only. A big accomplishment. This is like, and I said this on Twitter, it's like when you have an estranged family member that you meet for the first time in years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's WWE and China. And so this is the first step in potentially some great things in recognizing the career and the person. And so you have to take the baby step, right? There's no doubt in my mind that China will go into the Hall of Fame as a singles performer. But getting her in with others, making it less controversial based on what the criticism is of her porn career, And also highlighting something she did that was really important is a good first step. And I just think it's kind of you're missing the point, and you're being too. I just think you're holding WWE to an unfair standard. Give them the chance to get her in, and then let's see what happens. Like, give her a chance to get in again as a singles performer. But this is a great opportunity. China's mom is really excited.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a really good thing because she absolutely deserves to be in. And it's not a real Hall of Fame, but this mattered to China. China wanted the recognition for what she did, and she wanted to be accepted. So for her, this was really important. And so for that reason, it's a great thing, and I'm really glad to see it.
I am too. Now, I think this can all but confirm that this will be the only posthumous entrant this year, despite a big surprise. So I know it's a good thing. I don't see that. Maybe it's just me. I'm not disagreeing with Dean, but why is it a big deal if someone's by themselves? I mean, they're technically a Hall of Famer and a fake Hall of Fame, right? I mean, China is now a Hall of Famer. What am I missing? Am I missing anything? Like Hulk, or not Hulk, Ric Flair, right? Ric Flair was already a Hall of Famer. Now he's a two-time but he was a Hall of Famer already. So even if he did go in with the Freebird, or not the Freebirds, but even if he did go in with the Horsemen, he was a Hall of Famer then. I don't know. I think people are reading way too into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should be happy.
They should be happy.
I really do. They should be happy, and that should be the biggest takeaway from this. Should be the excitement that the career of China in some form is being recognized and celebrated, which is exactly what she wanted. So I'm happy for her loved ones for that, and I think that should be the big takeaway.
Yeah, I think so too. But again, like, she's a Hall of Famer. Who cares if she's in a solo? She is in the Hall of Fame right now. Well, as of like April 3rd or 4th or 5th, whatever. And that's the important thing. So we move on to again, man, it's I know you've watched Raw and SmackDown 8 times already because you just love it so much. But because of what transpired in these 2 shows, I bet they're gonna burn a hole in your DVR. Your DVR might implode after rewatching, especially 2 or 3 different segments. Don't I know it?
I just thought the entire show was terrible looking. I know you liked Raw.
I did.
You made that clear on Twitter. I thought it was terrible. A terrible TV show. So I just want to know, John, and I'm genuinely curious, what was good about Monday Night Raw, the TV show?
Is this where you demean my opinions, or are you really curious this time?
No, I mean, I'm curious. I'm gonna rebut what you say, but I want to know because I don't understand.
So I decided, before I get into anything, can we be honest and say this is the first time since their bullshit McMahon family promise that we actually got new matchups? I mean,
new matchups. Yeah, you're right. We got new matchups. We got Ruby Riott versus Ronda Rousey, and yeah, we weren't supposed to see any automatic rematches anymore. Remember, that was the new era.
No, I'm talking about.
We're watching Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman, and
no, you're
not something we've seen before.
No. We've never seen Aleister Black and Elias. We've never seen DIY versus The Bar. We've never seen Ricochet versus Andrade. So technically, yes, we got new matchups. It was more like a joke because that whole McMahon family promise thing was so dumb. They were new matchups. Anyway, no, so the last few months or so, I've been so critical of the program. So starting this week, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit back and try to enjoy it. And it's gonna be as simple pie, right? I'm not just gonna talk about Raw. I'll encapsulate both. Loved Mandy pinning Asuka. Got a new player into the main event scene for the women on SmackDown. 2, love the Kofi stuff. Won the big 6-man and is going to fight Daniel at Fastlane. Tremendous. Okay. 4 of my favorite NXT stars came up for this week. I don't think that's going to continue, but they came up. They're 4 of my favorites. I love watching them work, and it was exciting for me. And like the Triple H thing, all logic aside, which clearly it lacked it. I love face Triple H. I think he cuts a hell of a promo, and I enjoyed that segment in its entirety. I thought Dean Ambrose was hilarious in the short, time that he got to interact with Seth and the thing with Drew McIntyre. I thought that was brilliant on his part. And truthfully, yeah, Ruby and Ronda had a good match, and played the part of a pissed off champion. But yeah, I did not want logic and reasoning to dictate my wrestling experience for the non-rational and the non-logical shows that they always are. I was just going to try to sit back and enjoy it, and that's what I did.
So basically, dumb down your expectations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, let's call it what it is.
110%.
So we've got Triple H putting over Becky Lynch, not letting a suspension stop her, and talks about how he had to say she would be arrested if she tried that again. But
yeah,
he thought it was pretty cool. So maybe you should clarify what was pretty cool. Was it when he, she punched his wife? Was it when she slapped him in the face and threatened him? Was it when she defied her suspension? You're like, newsflash, when the corporate evil bad guy is putting you over and saying what you did to him is cool, how serious could he possibly be taking you? And well, do you really think that's going to work? Is that really anti-authority?
No.
Would Vince McMahon have said that to Stone Cold?
No.
And I just need to know, I need Triple H to start wearing a name tag so I know if I'm getting evil corporate authority figure Triple H or a good guy NXT Triple H. I don't know anymore.
I've always loved good guy Triple H. Personally, I think he's entertaining. He's actually kind of funny. Just depends on when we get him.
So that's how the show starts. And you've got, Braun Strowman defeating Baron Corbin. It's 50-50 booking. Corbin had won at Elimination Chamber. There was a scary-looking spot where Corbin came off the apron. Strowman hoisted up the steel steps, hit him with the points of the steps. Very sloppy. Strowman is just, not very good in the ring.
No.
But it's a tables match, meaning there's no disqualifications. Now, I seem to remember Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley interfering at Elimination Chamber and costing Braun Strowman the match, but they were nowhere to be seen on Monday Night Raw as they watched Baron Corbin get defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they had prior engagement.
Yeah, they were very busy.
You've got Drew McIntyre defeating Dan Ambrose, in less than 2 minutes. If you blinked, you missed it.
Yep.
Ricochet cuts a terrible promo. He's a terrible promo. Meanwhile, they won't give EC3 a mic. Right?
He's actually pretty good on the mic.
Yeah. So then you've got Ruby Riott loses clean at Elimination Chamber, gets an automatic rematch the next night without explanation.
Well, no, they did. They did. Michael Cole said that it's becoming tradition that after every pay-per-view, Ronda defends her title.
That's not a reason. That's not a reason. It's becoming tradition that she does something. That is not a reason they had the match. I'm sorry. That's actually not an explanation at all. So you've got Gargano and Ciampa, who were a tag team before they turned on each other.
Yep.
They had vowed to never tag team together again. And then they just show up on Raw like they've been DIY all along.
Yeah. Well, they play the mutual respect card because at the end of the last takeover, Ciampa and Gargano, held up their titles together on the top of the ramp, kind of signifying that there's respect there, but they're not a team again. I don't know.
Nobody knows. You got Dean Ambrose, who's now suddenly a face for unknown reasons, and he's dropped the Bane act. There's no, siren on his entrance anymore. You've got Elias, who appears to be a heel again. Nobody knows why.
Jobber.
And then you've got Ricochet announced as 188 pounds and wrestling on SmackDown Live, and he's not considered a cruiserweight? Seriously, you know what? Buddy Murphy is actually bigger than most of these guys. He's bigger than the WWE champion.
He's
bigger than Ricochet. He's bigger than Gargano. He's bigger than Ciampa. He's bigger than Aleister Black. Just canceled the damn cruiserweight division. Fire him or promote him to the main roster. I mean, the show's meaningless. Nobody watches it. And clearly superstars under 205 pounds can wrestle on Raw and SmackDown Live. There's no fucking rules, so cancel the damn show.
Yeah, I don't want people to lose their jobs, but, come up with something better,
But I just don't understand how that is a good TV show.
Like I said, I dumbed down all my expectations, and I didn't mind it one bit.
Well, then we've got SmackDown Live.
Yeah.
And we got Kofi Kingston handing out pancakes. Because if there's anything you're going to have a guy do, he just had a great showing and almost won the championship the night before on pay-per-view. It's come out laughing and throwing pancakes into the audience.
Momentum. That's his friend. Momentum.
God. I mean, they probably thought that line was great when they wrote it. Seriously.
They're the most entertaining part of SmackDown. I can't complain too much.
I mean, there was a WWE writer on social media this week who...
Was it Andrew Goldstein?
No.
Oh.
No, and I'm not going to say who it is. But absolutely talking about how the heavy machinery stuff is the best thing on... It's just, he loves it. It's the best thing on TV.
I love heavy machinery.
And I'm thinking, these are the guys who are writing this show. And it's no wonder this show fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, we get DIY defeating the Bar, right?
And the tag team champs.
This was laughable. These guys were half the size of Sheamus and Cesaro. Are you kidding me? Johnny Gargano? Seriously? I mean, I just thought the whole thing was it was absurd to another level. I hated it, Asuka. Okay. Asuka has been on a milk carton for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
She returns only to lose to Mandy Rose.
Yep, by roll-up.
Yeah, the dreaded roll-up. I mean, and you've got Kofi, and Kofi pins Bryan. That was the best moment of the show for me.
Yeah, it was.
Kofi pins Bryan, the 6-man tag. Shane announces he'll face him at Fastlane for the WWE Championship. That was the best moment of SmackDown Live for me. But overall, I just thought Raw and SmackDown Live were really poor shows. They were terrible. And I just don't understand how anybody could find that good or how anybody could blame the fans for the lack of reaction from these NXT superstars. These guys, and I talk about this all the time, it's these smarks in the bubble who think coming in with some cool fake fighting moves on the main roster is just going to get them over and everybody will go crazy because they live in a bubble and they don't realize that, most of your audience doesn't think that way. And they need to have some emotional investment in these characters. They need to have some stories. You don't just put guys out here that most of the audience has never heard of because they don't watch NXT. They don't go to independent wrestling shows and think they're just going to be the top dogs. I mean, I don't understand that train of thought. It's like I almost lost IQ points in my Twitter mentions this week trying to explain this to people.
It's I don't know. I named the guy. He's a former writer. He was a former writer for Raw and SmackDown. Andrew Goldstein, good guy, nice to talk to. And this was after Monday Night Raw, and he made a very good point. This is about the NXT call-ups, right? Quote, tonight's Raw is a glaring example of Vince breaking his own rules. He used to tell our creative team 12 years ago, don't tell me facts, tell me a story. Well, those intros read by Michael Cole and ice-cold debuts had absolutely no story at all, just facts, just fucking lazy. Meanwhile, the Chamber and Becky deal last night was some of the best shit they've ever done. Just so frustrating to watch them constantly take 2 steps forward and then 10 back when it comes to pulling off anything remotely cool and interesting.
Yeah, and I'm going to elaborate on this in the breaking news segment. I'm going to talk about it because a lot of people were very interested in that, so we'll definitely get to it.
Well, I mean, we can get to it right now. I don't have very much to say. Did the ratings come out for Raw yet?
They have not. They were delayed due to President's Day. Obviously, by the time the podcast is released, they'll be out. But as we record this on Tuesday evening, it has not been released yet.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
anticipate it to be low. I'm going to call it right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be very high either. At least personally. No, like I said, I took the approach of dumbing it down, and I enjoyed Raw. There were a few good matches, a few good promos and such, but boiling it down to storytelling and connecting the dots and trying to get people excited for the product didn't do anything outside of Kofi Kingston. It didn't do anything for me at all. So that's just me. But again, it's all about your perspective towards the product right now, because it's at a low. It really is. I mean, I think they brought those guys up to try to get a spark going. But if you're gonna do that and think so highly of these four gentlemen, which I do, just because I'm a fan, give me a few weeks of vignettes. Tell me how and why they're here. Aleister Black is one of the most intelligent and creative people that they have. And he's an in-ring veteran, and he actually has a decent bit of size to him. He's no muscle mass, but he's bigger than Johnny Gargano. And they have a talent there. But tell us about him. Don't just say he could hit you from anywhere, like that's cool. But so could Evan Bourne, because of how quick he was. Doesn't make him special. Tell me why I want to, if I'm a casual fan, tell me why I want to care about him. Don't just say how great he is, because that's technically an opinion.
Yeah. So I thought overall Aleister had the best debut of the group. But, I think in a lot of ways they stepped on their own toes. They had just debuted some people like the EC3s, as we just mentioned. And now they've taken a back seat without really ever having a chance to the new call-ups.
Except for Lacey Evans.
So I want to get into it. Let's hit the breaking news music, and let's get right into the conversation about the call-ups.
Okay, I can do that. I have to vamp because I didn't get it out yet. Because we do things old school around here. Oh, look. Fire it up. Twice to thrice times a day, 4 times nightly and weekly. And,
That is music to my ears. Okay, so we were just talking about the NXT call-ups. A source in WWE described Raw to me as a quote-unquote mess. They went on to criticize Triple H specifically, who's not as popular as he thinks he is at WWE headquarters, by the way. They essentially said, he decides to put himself and his friends into the Hall of Fame. Then he goes out on Raw and introduces the NXT call-ups in advance because that'll get him over. It's all about me, 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 me.
Well, now, like, did he or she elaborate on a mess? Like, was it chaotic, changed at the last second? I wonder how much Vince had to do with all of that booking.
It was a fast-evolving script on Monday night.
I believe that.
Yep. A lot of fans have asked about the way the NXT superstars were presented on Raw and SmackDown Live. Obviously, we just talked about it. And they're kind of just generally wondering what the thinking was behind that. So I was told there's a weird dynamic at play where Triple H hypes the guy and Vince tries to prove him wrong. In this case, Vince wanted to put the NXT call-ups in a hole and test them to see if they could climb out of it. So this is the metaphorical Vince throwing them in the deep end of the swimming pool and seeing if they'll drown or come up for air.
We'll see. If that is true, I shouldn't say if, but I'm just gonna say it. If it's true, then that's fucking asinine. Like, why do you do that? Because if people want to believe it or not, everyone has an opportunity to make Vince money and the company money and new fans and everything. No matter if it's Zack Ryder or if it's Aleister Black, everyone has that same chance. And if you don't put them in a chance to succeed, then they're not. Period. So then he's just as arrogant as all of them. By the way, I would say that if I were a fan of these 4 NXT call-ups or if I wasn't. I think it's fair play. And Vince is too old and stupid to realize that. I think that's immature and irresponsible.
So the Corey Graves and Carmella situation was a hot topic at WWE headquarters.
By the way, but can I stop you real quick? Are you a fan of the show Friends?
I'm not.
Damn it. Carry on.
Okay. That was random. So I was told Corey was real cool, and I'm not going to go into some of the personal details I was made aware of, but essentially the situation was pretty much chalked up to life on the road. And you've read the reports, and I don't know what's true. Was there an extramarital relationship? Was there not? A report came out that he has been separated for months. I don't actually know what's true and what's not out of that. I just know what I've been told, which, Corey's really cool. And, basically this was just a situation of a casualty of life on the road.
I just hope his kids are okay. That's all. He has 3 beautiful kids, 2 or 3 beautiful kids.
Yeah, he has 3 children, and that is, no judgment for me from a personal standpoint. I mean, the relationship stuff is between them. It's not, it makes for good headlines. It's none of my business. I don't care. But you're right. In those situations, you do always kind of, think of the kids first and hope everything's okay there.
Well, now at first, the report was he left her for Carmella, and now it's been saying that they didn't get together until after they were separated. Does that make him less of a bad guy? I don't know. Does it make him less? I mean, clearly the crowd doesn't give a fuck, or else there would have been Corey and Carmella chants all throughout.
Yeah, there was a brief Corey Graves chant when Carmella was in the ring at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, but it came and it wasn't the CM Punk chant. It came and it went.
Right.
What I want to know is, do you think if I try to fight a cop, I could get a promotion at work?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Dean that question.
I mean, it worked. It worked for the Uso and Naomi tandem. So I wonder if it works for me.
Well, interesting you bring that up. So following Jimmy Uso's arrest, WWE had no plans to punish the team. They have no heat stemming from the arrest, and the company's hoping the situation just blows over.
She could have killed someone.
So as I first reported on last week's episode, the Hart Foundation were not a lock for the Hall of Fame, and a group may replace them. Obviously, DX is being inducted now. But as of today, as we record this, I'm now told that even though Triple H wanted to put DX in, that the Hart Foundation may still go in as well. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if that changes.
Okay.
The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Is making money moves right now, I'm told, and is probably lobbying for a new deal, hence the StarCast appearance. But when push comes to shove, it's still more likely than not he'll show his face at WrestleMania and maybe even possibly do a quick match.
So, everyone went from, he's retiring to, maybe he'll show up.
A lot changes, pal. A lot changes in wrestling, pal.
It does. The Taker stuff is so intriguing. We haven't heard of him since last year.
Yeah.
Why? And I think we are at the point as a fan base that we are over him, and it's time to retire for good.
Oh yeah, I'm on board with that completely. I mean, I think Undertaker should absolutely retire, but you know what? It's his job, and he can make a lot of money doing it. If he can still do it, he's gonna rake in all the cash he can. So I understand that as well.
25,000 per appearance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good God.
So, final thing I have here is I got some random Raw thoughts from someone in WWE.
Uh-oh.
And I just thought I would share their totally random observations after watching WWE Raw, just to share what someone inside the company thought of some of the things on Raw.
Uh-huh.
Some of the things that bothered them. So Aleister Black in the ring with Elias, they called laughable and said it's a shame Elias had to job to him. They went on to say WWE doesn't seem to know what they've got in Elias. Big guy, great talker. Yeah, let's job him to someone 2/3 his size. What do you think about that?
Aren't they on this? I thought they were just as tall as each other.
Aleister Black is like a skinny fat CM Punk, Bill.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's not tall, but he's also like has no muscle really at all. It's like the guy doesn't lift weights at all.
Neither did Punk.
Well, I don't know if that's true, but he has a very similar physique to CM Punk. I'll say that.
This it's not that bad of a thing.
No, I'm just making an observation.
No, it's true. He was called the next CM Punk for a reason. So,
observation number 2. I'm coming around on your boy Baron Corbin, and I'm hoping he makes the climb.
He has to stop jobbing at Braun Strowman first.
He's getting in progressively better shape, adding more muscle. Good for him. He seems to be beasting it.
Okay.
And finally, Braun Strowman is a chump. He's always hurt at the wrong time and is a jobber to the stars.
That's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, he's right.
Yeah.
And Braun has lost so much momentum. He had a lot of momentum there, but, he consistently lost to Brock. He is hurt at the wrong times that it's derailed the momentum of his career in big matches. We know he doesn't cut a good promo, and he's not very good in the ring. Now, he's got a great look. He's got the catchphrase, but the other things just aren't there. And when the momentum died, that was, I don't know. So what do you think?
Oh, I'm not a big fan of Braun. I think he's just a big hunk of beef who just rolls around in the ring and hits things by accident. Sure, he's a nice guy.
He sucks, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah. I hope he's a nice guy.
Well, look, probably a lot of these guys are nice guys, and a lot of these girls are nice guys, nice girls, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this is entertainment, and these are characters. We're not talking about, and I've said this 100 times. This is not personal. This is not about the person that portrays Braun Strowman. This is an observation about the work. So
yeah, I agree. Now, real quick before we go, so I know you aren't the biggest fan of Kevin Owens, but I wish I were anyone but him after seeing what Vince is having him do, these stupid promos.
God,
horrible.
Terrible. I mean, it's one thing if you're trying to make him look like, he's going to come back as a face, and you want him to be more like the ordinary man, which he really is, based on his height, his weight, his look. But the problem is, you're making him look like a loser, like a doofus.
Yeah.
Like, he's stuffing his face full of pizza, and his child is taking his money and not giving him change, and he's throwing gutter balls. Like, you're turning him into this big, dumbass doofus, loser. And it's just like, I just don't really see how that's going to translate.
It's. I love KO. Love him. His work with Jericho was above and beyond anything that I could have ever asked for. I why don't and that was Kevin and Chris were writing that themselves. More so because Vince trusts Jericho to write whatever, as he should. And Kevin got the Jericho treatment during their program. Why just let I don't know. No, he's not the most impressive look. He doesn't not everyone has to be. That's what the definition of uniqueness is to be different. And different can be very, very good. But having him like berate his kid for not getting him change, like yeah, he's the every guy. Yeah, Kevin lost some weight and he looks much better. Doesn't help his case. Doesn't help his case at all. And we're totally going to forget that Sami Zayn is supposed to come back around the same time as KO. KO was the bigger star, but are they going to continue their best friendship? Are they going to feud again? Like what is it? Why don't they? I don't know.
I don't know, but if this is what they have in store, then I'll fast forward. Thanks.
I only fast forward one thing on Raw and SmackDown this week. You want to take a guess on what that was?
I'm gonna say it was probably.
Be honest, no sarcasm. Come on.
It was probably the tables match.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was the Lucha House Party versus Ryder and Hawkins. What else would it have been?
Oh, I forgot they even had that match. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that was like I didn't watch that either, so I forgot that it even existed. It was a thing.
I thought Kalisto and Elias were feuding, weren't they?
I don't know. I can't keep up anymore with these wacky Lucha House Party people.
Oh, I hate it so much. All right. Anyway. Okay, well, that's about it. We have another pay-per-view in 3 weeks.
Oh my God. Another week of 9+ hours.
Yep.
TV.
You gotta pay Fox and the XFL some money.
Hey, the XFL could be in trouble. I mean, if you look at the AAF,
Yeah.
bailed out by the Hurricanes owner to the tune of $250 million.
Who's trying to sell the Hurricanes? Or did that I think that sale didn't. I don't think he's actually sold them yet. He's been trying to sell them since 2016. Man, talk about trouble.
Yeah, trouble in paradise. It's not just a Kofi Kingston reference.
That's right. And Rikishi, as we were talking, just teased that the Usos are going to be gone soon.
Yeah, I'm not buying that at all.
No.
I'm sure they want to probably negotiate a good deal, but he needs to be more worried about his son's not getting arrested.
Lay off the sauce, maybe.
Yeah. Which I'm sure, he.
Whatever. Anyway, all right. Where can we find you on Twitter?
Find me on Twitter at the Brad Shepard, SHEPARD, for all of my hot takes on sports and professional wrestling, and I don't know, pretty much everything that comes to my mind. There is no filter. It just comes to me, and I tweet it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. And I'm John Fisher TV on Twitter. And you can, again, get at us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher Radio. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to listen. You guys have been super cool. We still need some 5-star reviews.
Yes.
On iTunes to push down the few losers that decided to berate us when we were at our worst. So sucks to be them, but they took advantage of us, and that's just really not. You shouldn't take advantage of anybody. It's really not cool. And I think they're also half deaf, so they really couldn't hear us anyway. So wow, weird. Anything else before we go?
Yeah, rate, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. And follow all of my work at prosportsextra.com. I'm coming out with a lot of good stuff.
And don't remember. Well, Dean doesn't remember much, obviously. Don't forget. Dean, take your pills. We'll see you all next week. Take care.